Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So Thursday means it's Tier 1 Thursday, and this week we're heading to Legacy for a super sweet hybrid deck. This deck is like, if you take a Legacy deck and jam a Modern deck into it, you come out with this. This is Twin Blade, a hybrid Stoneforge Mystic Blade deck mixed with Splinter Twin. Comes to us from David Rudolph, who took it to a top 8 finish in a recent SCG Legacy IQ, so congrats to David on his finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break down Twin Blade for Legacy. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Twin Blade starts off looking like a fairly typical Blade deck. Stoneforge Mystic is kind of the centerpiece of Blade decks, comes down on turn 2, searches up some equipment, puts it into play for free to avoid counterspells, just a really powerful effect. So in this deck, we have two different equipments we can search up. So the primary Stoneforge target is Batterskull, and this is a really strong combo. Strong enough that Stoneforge Mystic is banned in Standard. Basically, we play the turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, search up Batterskull. On the end of our opponent's turn 3, we just put in a Batterskull, which means we have a 4/4 Vigilance Lifelinker, and if something happens, let's say our opponent consorts to Plowshares, the Germ token, to deal with it, we can always just bounce the Batterskull back to our hand, put it back into play for 2 mana, so it gives us this very resilient, hard to deal with life-gaining threat that comes down really early in the game. We also have Umezawa's Jitte to deal with creature decks, kind of our backup equipment, but it's super good against like elves, anything like that, young pyromancers, delvers, any small creatures, because we can shoot them down, and it forms a pretty quick clock as well. So along with our Stoneforge equipment package, we have a bunch of creatures who are there to be able to wear our equipment. True Name Nemesis, great combo with Batterskull, almost an unbeatable combo unless your opponent can combo off or kill you somehow, but you end up with a 7 power life-linking vigilant protection from basically everything threat, which is really hard to deal with, closes out the game super fast. Vidalian Click lets us make sure the coast is clear, grab something out of our opponent's hand, helps us a little bit against combo. Plus, it's fine wearing an equipment as well. And a couple of Snapcasters can wear equipment, also can flash back some of our many spells. So we have 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder to set things up on turn 1. Just kind of hallmark cantrips for blue decks in Legacy. And then we have a bunch of counterspells, Force of Will to protect us from degenerate combo decks, Counterspell, All-Purpose, Spell Pierce is good at protecting what we have going on, which we'll talk about more in a minute, and then Swords to Plowshares as our removal spell. So this far, everything looks pretty much like a typical Stoneblade deck. You see all those cards in Stoneblade decks, but the deck takes a bit of twist and plays a complete Splinter Twin package as well. So this gives the deck a very different line of attack. And while Deceiver Exarch, Pestermite don't necessarily synergize with the Blade plan, they are fine creatures to wear equipment. I mean, 2/1 flyer and Pestermite, Deceiver Exarch has a pretty big butt, good at attacking, so they're fine creatures for wearing equipment. They can do some neat things that kind of help Stoneforge decks in weird ways. Let's say our opponent sneaks in a Emrakul with a sneak attack or a show and tell. Deceiver Exarch gives us a good way of dealing with that because we can keep tapping it down. We can tap it down so it can't attack and annihilate us. Maybe that buys us enough time that we can steal the game with our Batterskulls and our True Name Nemesis and stuff. So there's some weird fringe upside. We can also just flash it in and tap down a land to kind of slow our opponent down. So there's weird fringe upsides, but the big deal is eventually we'll Brainstorm and Ponder into our Splinter Twin, and then we just win the game. We put the Splinter Twin on our Deceiver Exarch, on our Pestermite, make an infinite number of tokens by tapping and untapping the creature with the Splinter Twin on it when the copies enter the battlefield, and the end result is just this infinitely huge board of Deceiver Exarchs or Pestermites that we can attack and win with, just like the old Modern deck that's now banned. So we have this normal kind of controlling Stoneforge line of attack, and we also have this, oops, I just won the game with Splinter Twin line of attack, so it's pretty sweet. It's a really neat idea to smash these two things together, and it's something that we can do in Legacy because a lot of these cards are banned in Modern, Splinter Twin and Stoneforge Mystic, so it's kind of the double ban deck as far as Modern is concerned. We also have a single Jace the Mind Sculptor as a backup finisher, very powerful, generating card advantage, making our opponent's draws really bad and finishing the game. Mana base wise, we get a bunch of fetch lands, a bunch of original dual lands to fetch up, and then some basic lands, play around the Blood Moons and so forth. As far as the sideboard, we get a ton of removal. Detention Sphere, Catch-All, Pyroclasm, great against a board full of young Pyromancer tokens, empty the Warren tokens. Grim Lavamancer can repeatedly shoot down Delver of Secrets and stuff like that. Wear Tear for artifacts and enchantments. Blood Moon to kind of steal some random wins against certain decks. Grafdigger's Cage for graveyards. Pithing Needle, deal with opposing Jaces and Planeswalkers and anything along those lines. Ethersworn Canonist for Storm. Enlightened Tutor lets us tutor up all those things we were just talking about. So even though Blood Moon's a one-of, Canonist is a one-of, we have a little bit more consistency, and we can also search up our equipment with it. So it's a nice kind of free roll if we have an important sideboard card. Pyroblast to win Counter Wars, Containment Priest to deal with all those Reanimator decks, Sneak and Show decks, and that is Twin Blade for Legacy, and that's our instant deck tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.